Hello everybody! We want to show you a project we have been working on. A little doghouse for the little member of our family. In this video, I'll show you step by step how to build it, so stay tuned until the video ends. I use this tool to make the design, and believe me when I tell you that having this 3D model of this project or another will be very useful during the entire building process. I will also lean on the list of the pieces this tool gives. This is actually the hardest part of the project, understanding all the needed pieces and their measurements, and you get it easy with this tool. Once you have your list, it's time to start with the project. The first stage of this process consists of measuring each piece of lumber. Try to do it with high precision. To accomplish this, I will use a tape measure and a square. Lets you make precise lines and trace of cutting lines. It's an important task that requires a lot of attention, but by following rigorously, you guarantee the quality of your results. Take your time on this task, and if necessary, rectify each measurement twice so you feel secure moving on to the next step of the process. Once you're confident, it's time to cut the pieces together. For this, you'll need a tool like a handsaw, or in our case, an electric saw. An electric saw is very useful and efficient as it facilitates lumber cutting in a precise and fast manner. However, if you don't have an electric saw, you can also use a handsaw, which will also do the job. And before you start cutting, it's important to have the list of pieces close by, since it will guide you through the whole cutting process. Some lumber in your project might require special cuts at 45-degree angle. It's important to understand that these cuts require special attention in marking and cutting. Any error in tracing the marks or cutting the lumber could affect upcoming steps. When faced with 45-degree cuts, it's recommended to take extra time to make sure they are correctly marked. Use your square to guarantee the angle is correct, and when cutting, keep a firm grip to ensure it stays stable while cutting. When you have finished all the cuts of the lumber of the structure, next will be the assembly stage. I recommend starting with an inferior frame that will support all structures. To complete this task, I recommend using a drill, and before you start, make sure you have all the necessary lumber and the 2.5-inch screws for the wood. Start by accommodating all the lumber on a surface, and once they are in order, use a drill with a suitable bit to drill and screw together the lumber. Once you've completed the assembling of the first frame, it is time to fix the perimeter posts for each corner. These posts will play a crucial role in supporting the structure of the roof, so it's essential that they are correctly fixed and aligned. Start by marking where each piece of lumber will be placed, and then with a drill you will make the necessary perforations. Once the lumber is in place, take the 2.5-inch wooden screws to firmly fix the lumber to the frame. With this done, you'll have completed the first stage of the structure. We will continue with the structure of the roof. This structure is made out of lumber 2 by 2 inches and 26.5 inches long. 4 lumber of 2 by 2 inches and 16.25 inches long. This structure will support the roof covering. The assembly is very easy. We will grab the longest lumber and we will fix it to the 16.25 inches lumber, forming 2 frames attached to each other. We need to drill the holes and screw the lumber together. Remember, if you have any doubts, you can consult the project's 3D models. Once you have completed this stage, the base structure will be assembled into the roof structure. For this, you must correctly align both structures, rectifying and marking each measurement. Then once they are correctly marked, we will continue to drill and screw the base posts structure to the roof structure. When we finished fixing these 2 elements, we would grab 2 19-inch lumber and place them on the front part of the structure. These lumbers will give us the surface to nail the coating we'll address later. We're now paying attention to the wood that will provide the coating for our doghouse. So we grab the 4-inch lumber and mark them and cut them into groups of 3. We will then grab those pieces and fix them to the surface with nails. This will be the floor of our doghouse, making sure each piece of wood is fixed and well located. Great! We're now in the final stage of our wooden doghouse project. At this stage, we will focus on measuring and cutting the pieces that will form the exterior surface of our roof. This step will be super precise, so all our elements fit perfectly. Now, let's focus on the next step, cutting out pieces that will be used to cover the sides of the doghouse. After the first step of covering the facade of the house, it's time to continue with the laterals. These overlays will add a beautiful finishing touch and will protect the structure of the doghouse. Before we start cutting, it's important to take precise measurements of the laterals. Take your time so these pieces are perfectly aligned with the structure. One of the profiles you will use on this facade of the doghouse may require 45-degree cuts. These cuts add a special touch, so it's important to pay attention. Before you start cutting, make sure you have the correct measurements by using a measuring tape and a square to get precise dimensions and mark the cutting points. Once you've completed these marks, it's time to carefully cut with a lot of precision. Use the right tools, like a handsaw or an electric saw, for these 45-degree cuts. Once you've done this, these pieces will be placed in the space you wish to cover. Use the right nails to firmly fix them. Make sure they are long enough to penetrate the wood securely and keep the pieces in their place. I recommend using a guide for the separation of these profiles. This guide will provide the order while nailing each element. The separation between each piece of lumber will lead to great ventilation inside the doghouse. Overall, make sure to take your time during this process, making sure each piece is well placed to achieve an aesthetic finish in our doghouse. And once this step is finished, we are just one step closer to finishing our doghouse project. For this last step, we will prepare the 10-inch wide lumber and the 18-inch long lumber that will serve as the roof for our house. Take the right measurements of each piece of lumber and carefully cut them. Also, remember that your safety is essential. We recommend using gloves and glasses to protect your hands and eyes. So now grab all your nails and place them in their place and start nailing. Pay attention to details. Even the slightest mismatch could end our project's final finish. Take your time and, above all, enjoy the process. We only need to fix the last elements to the roof, and once the last lumber has been nailed onto the roof structure, you can now show off your doghouse. The doghouse is spectacular. How do you feel about this? Did it meet your expectations? The truth is that we have enjoyed every stage of the process, and I recommend you to do the same. If you want to build your own doghouse, visit craftyamigo.com. Here you will find the 3D model, the pieces list, and the doghouse plan that will take you step by step through the project. Best of all, it's free. Thank you for viewing the entire video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment, or even better, share with a pet lover.